Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today I have a list of books that you could read in one day. So my goal for this video is to give you a list of books that if you're looking for something very short, that you could finish in one sitting. If you're looking to get ahead on your Goodreads goal or something like that and just read a lot of short things, or if you just really like short things and you just want more recommendations, this is what I'm going for. I'm not going to get into the discussion of what counts as a book or not. You can count anything as a book. If you want to count it as a book, no one is judging. There's no rule here. So I'm going to start with two graphic novels that I actually only read the first volume of them, but I really like them. I really want to continue, and even not having continued them, I would still recommend the first volume. And the first one is Sandman by Neil Gaiman. This, you might know, it's going to be adapted to a show on Netflix, Amazon, I'm not sure. But this is a really cool graphic novel, and of course being a graphic novel is really fast to read, but it's still it was, when I read it, it was still a little bit complicated to understand the whole thing, so it wasn't necessarily a fast read, but it's still readable in one day. And this, as it says here, is the first of 12 volumes that introduce readers to a dark and enchanting world of dreams and nightmares, the home of Morpheus, of the king of dreams, and his kin, the Endless. So it's a very dark graphic novel. If you don't like dark themes, then I wouldn't recommend it, but it's really good. The next is another graphic novel that was adapted to a Netflix show, and it is Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This is about a house where this family move in, and there are special keys that do different things in the house or in other places around that scenario. And the TV show is very YA kinda, but this is much darker. I don't remember exactly if there's things that are too dark in here that I would consider it adult. I think it was an okay read, so if it is dark, there are dark themes, but it's not as much as Sandman for sure. So this one is more based on our world with fantasy elements sprinkled into it, and it's also a very cool and fast graphic novel to read. Another graphic novel that, again, I also read only the first volume, but I really loved it, is Fables by Bill Willingham. This is also an adult fantasy novel in our world, kinda, in which fairy tale characters have been exiled from their land and they ended up in New York. And Snow White's sister ends up missing, and they're trying to figure out what happened there, who did it, and all of that. So it's fantasy with a murder mystery at the same time. Really cool, I really definitely recommend it. I don't have it with me because I read it from my library, so that's another tip for you. If you're looking for a quick read, sometimes these books, like, you read it in one day and they can be the same price as a full novel, so definitely check your library because they might have a lot of stuff. The next one is a classic, and it is Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is a story of a farm in which the animals basically overthrow the humans and they start controlling the whole farm, and they're all talking animals. If you don't like that kind of thing, then you should know that. But it's really good. It's a very obvious commentary on society, and it still applies nowadays, but when it was written, it was a commentary on the Soviet Revolution, as it says here, but it's still, there are a lot of things that apply to our world nowadays. So I would definitely recommend it. It's very short. The audiobook also is really cool. There's a song here that it's actually sung in the audiobook, so I would also recommend that. The next recommendation is maybe the only one that you might not be able to read in one day if you're a slow reader like me, but they're still short and they're still fast-paced enough that you could get through the whole thing in one day. And it is the Murderbot novellas. So the first one is All Systems Red. They were written by Martha Wells, and this is a story of this robot who calls himself Murderbot. And we meet him in this first book when he goes to another planet with his crew, and some weird stuff happens, and they have to deal with that. It's very short, I don't want to spoil the whole plot. But Murderbot is an amazing character. The character that she created in Murderbot is just so funny and relatable because their only goal in life is to watch TV and not be bothered by humans. And that relationship between Murderbot and the humans is just amazing. I really loved Artificial Condition more than any of the other books. So if you don't love this one as much, you might love this one still. like I said, really short, so you can give it a try. There's also a novel that goes after these books that I haven't read yet, and there's another book coming out that I don't know if it's a novel or a novella or if have already come out. It's a whole series now, so you can catch up if you would like, because they're really short, and if you can read this in one day, you could read all four in 4 days. My next recommendation is The Task by Sylvain Novelle. Very, very short. This has 104 pages, I think. Yeah, 104 pages. And it is about a man who is taking a test to become a British citizen. But things get very weird. And for every question that he has to answer, we hear a little bit of his story in life. And how he would answer that question. But things get very weird and it gets very Black Mirror-like. If you enjoy Black Mirror, I would definitely recommend this one. I really loved it, so I'm biased to say more things here because I just think it was a complete 5 stars. But it's real short and I really hope you give it a try. Another sci-fi that I have to recommend is the Amazon Forward collection. They're a series of 6 short stories that are all very different on their own. It's all a little bit imagining how the future would be. A little bit in the future, a lot in the future, depending on which story you're reading. My favorite one is Summer Frost by Blake Crouch, which is about this NPC in a video game that starts behaving differently than what it should behave. And I work with video games, so that's very scary and also so much fun. So I definitely recommend the whole collection because there's something for every taste there. If you like sci-fi, there's something for every sci-fi taste in there, so definitely check it out. Last but not least, I have 3 recommendations that are non-fiction. The first 2 are these really cute short books by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. The first one is We Should All Be Feminists, and the second is Dear Joelle, or Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions. I like turning the books around so you can see how very short they are, but yeah, they are about feminism. They are a lot about her experience in Nigeria and coming to America and that difference between those 2 places, but they're still applicable to every situation where we want to apply this. And also, especially in Dear Joelle, there's a lot to learn from her experience as a Nigerian woman. So I definitely recommend this too so much. I think this could be read like every year just to keep it in mind and get a refresh on things that sometimes we forget because they're really important. They in any means go too deep in these topics. They couldn't do that, it's too short, but it's an overview of very important aspects that we should keep in mind. And then the last one that is a non-fiction that I want to recommend that you could read in one day is Greek Myths by Jean Menzies and illustrated by Katie Ponder. This is all about, well, Greek myths, heroes, goddesses, gods, and everything in between about Greek mythology, which is a topic that I really enjoy. And it's just delightful to read this book because the illustrations are amazing. The way it's written, it's really easy to understand. Again, it's not one that goes too deep in any of these topics because it's actually written for kids. But even as an adult, I definitely recommend if you like Greek mythology because it's just delightful. That's the best way that I can describe it. I really loved it. So I really hope you found something to add to your TBR in this video. Let me know if you would recommend any more to me. I would love to get more recommendations of books to read in one day. And if you want a part 2 of this video, I definitely have more that I could recommend. So just leave it in the comments and let me know. And remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for joining me.